to you, friend.
I think we can start with some theory crafting and then jump into the community updates.
Awesome, awesome. So, okay, guys,
I think
I
1 second. I think we hear Lordo typing. Lordo, maybe not sure if you have push to talk. You should, but I don't know. I just see you in there and hear you typing.
yeah,
That is strange because I am on push to talk.
Okay.
You should just stop pushing that button then, perhaps.
It might have gotten sticky.
Yeah,
Why?
exactly. Or you should stop throwing Coca-Cola over your keyboard. That could also
that happens with the best of us.
for sure.
So,
I
guys,
will just mute myself. Man.
no, don't worry, friend. So yeah, I wanted to since we have a freestyle brew, I think this is an opportunity for us to do some real theory craft, especially since we have lots of prominent community members here who loves game design and skill tree crafting and things like that. Lately in the lore, I have been playing with the idea of what happened uh, after the Convergence War, right? And on my investigations of how we would tackle this, and how the golden era of space exploration would start in Star Atlas, I kind of stumbled on a interesting concept for a new gameplay front in Star Atlas, right? Not saying that this is going to make into the game or anything like that, especially since I didn't even talk with game design about this. So I feel this is just us going crazy over a possibility over here and wanted to know and see what you guys think about what I'm going to share. But basically, I was thinking about a collective skill crafting, skill progression framework and how this would work. What's the logic behind this system? Uh, as you guys know, I was a lawyer before coming to Star Atlas, but I was also a researcher on academics of the philosophy of law. And while I did my researches, I perceived that, and this is something very simple for us to perceive, that no humanity knowledge work in a cooperative way, right? We need each other. We do research together. We collect data. We experiment on each other's findings. We share ideas. And this idea really captivated me like my entire life. And I was thinking that maybe we could create a system that in some way would translate into gameplay features and would boost faction cooperation inside a faction. So here was what I was thinking about, right? Imagine that you are working on Star Atlas and you are focused on the mechanics industry. You are a mechanic and you like crafting engines. And the skill progression system in usual MMO games, right? You just you can level up all the way from level 0 to level 100 by yourself, right? You can just grind your way up, and usually the crafting system is not something that's really good developed in most of MMO games, right? And since this is something that I really like, I wanted to think of a way of making it entertaining and making it more like a faction-wide accomplishment. So the way I was thinking about this is that in Star Atlas, maybe the core of the idea is that you would need other people to progress from certain thresholds to another in terms of gameplay crafting skill. So, for example, going back to my mechanic and engine production example, you start at level 0 and you can only grind until you get the technology to create the engine for a extra small ship. When you reach that point, you have a gate on skill progressing, and it would open up a quest, a faction wild quest, where you and other players would need to cooperate to open up the gate to the next tier. And what's the logic behind this? It's like, first of all, you need other people having reached the same state of knowledge that you currently have to do improvement in any area of knowledge in any area in any area of expertise, right? You need other people studying the same things that you are studying. And when a certain number of players reach that threshold, it would open up a quest, a faction quest, for you guys to make a breakthrough in the technology. So, for example, let us say that to allow the only players to go to the second tier of engine crafting of ships, you'd need 100 players reaching out the max level on tier one. And when this happens, you guys will need to pull resources together, spend time on gameplay loops to do experimentations in one of the planets of the Onis and creating the new machine or learning the new resource or new power source that will allow you to make the quality leap to this new technology, you know? And another idea here is that for you to advance to the next tier of engine building, you need to have some other skills developed inside your faction. So, for example, you need to have the ability to deal with exotic, more exotic materials than the common ones. And this would require players to acquire a number of players to acquire these minimal skills. If anyone is familiar with civilizations, is the idea of having the pieces of technology developed so you can make the new step on the technology bridge. You know, like if your faction has this knowledge of how to use these necessary technologies, this would allow you to make the breakthrough through these new quests. And just to conclude very briefly, I think this is an interesting system because it forwards some collective objectives that I think they are interesting. So, for example, this would create a fourth battleground in Star Atlas, right? We have the political influence battleground, we have the economic battleground, we have the military background, but we would also have a scientific development battlefront, sorry, background, battlefront for us to fight about. And this battlefront wouldn't be tied to the other ones necessarily. So your faction can be losing in one, but he can also be winning in other. And I think this could forward also like a faction unity sentiment, right? Because you guys will be cooperating together to make the breakthroughs or discussing what kind of technology is more important for your faction at this point. And the same logic applies to guilds, right? Because the guilds, they'll need to move together and discuss like how we can build the foundations of the science of our faction. And since the guilds have a massive influence through a number of players, this will give them the ability to coordinate and to help make this or facilitate this scientific breakthrough. And yeah, this is the general idea of my system, and I would really love to hear your guys' feedbacks on this because I think this could turn out to be something interesting for us.
Awesome, man. I love it. I love it. I honestly love it. It's taking it a step further on how MMOs are played now and RPGs as well. So I love that. I love that. I want to hear. I see a lot of comments. Anyone with the mic who would like to share thoughts on just this idea?
Well, I have a question, I think, first. Is this something you would like to apply to ships, as in the ship hulls, or specifically to components? And how does the exploration factor into this? Because that is where I believe is where really the research comes in the sense that ships, of course, are already out there, so it's not there's no breakthrough needed for the hulls. For some components, I can absolutely imagine that will be the case, and I know, of course, that exploration with some alien materials is also a very interesting path to improve a whole bunch of aspects. Not necessarily perhaps skill related, but at least with production related. So I'm curious to, yeah, where would you like to apply this specifically?
I think that it's even more broad than we can think here from correctly because, for example, let us think about an exotic material, right? And of course, it's really easy for you to mine iron, for example. But what if an specific material required maybe cryogenic cells for it to be harvested from the ground, or maybe an exotic gas that has a very low what's the word I'm looking for here? It's like burning point, like those materials require specific technology for you to be able to even take them out of the ground. So maybe if everything that has to do with technology, I think it would be something that could be applied to the system, like uh, I think this is something that we can use in any area of expertise. For example, if you want to have titanium, you need to be able to understand how it works, and you need very hot forges that allows you to manipulate it, so I think there is a quality leap even if we think about uh, dealing with materials, because the better the material, the more skills you need to use it, like diamonds, for example. Diamond drills are super hard to make and things like that.
And what are your thoughts on
All right.
I see in the chat just there's an idea on specialized guild skill tree. How
Hmm.
do you feel like there's a possibility for something like that?
Yeah, maybe. Like something that would play with variations from the blueprints and receipts for components or ships or potions, like, right? Maybe something like uh, a guild that reaches a certain threshold of skill development, they can make variations of the usual XP4, and this allows them to tweak a new component on it, right? Or maybe incorporate a new technology that isn't available for everyone. Maybe this could be play out that way as well. I like this.
Will these things be somehow generative, like procedurally generated? As in, will there be like a potential near infinite number of certain components, like whatever kind of thruster or engine type? Like, there's always a potential to roll a few dice and make a slightly better one. So, because in that
Yeah,
case, I like what you're saying, because in that case, you could have literally like, I know, a few hundred different variants of just one component, for example.
yeah, man. And maybe some of those varieties aren't stable, and you need to harvest the resources and put them together and test them. And when you test them, you see that your receipt doesn't work because it overloads the component. It's too, you need a better power source, or this component's too
Yeah,
small
yeah.
to have everything. So this also creates a very interesting sync for our game and allows us to go wild on the crafting side, right? Giving the game more possibilities. And yeah, I think this would be super fun.
Agreed.
Ooh. Anyone else has any thoughts? I see the chat. In the chat there are a bunch of different points of view. I see signals saying I think the skill tree should just belong to players and crew, and then you can aggregate the skills of individuals in the guild to create a visible score, but that the skills don't actually belong or tie to the guild itself.
Yeah, I agree with Signal on this one because, like, it's like you are lending your knowledge to the guild, right? So
Yeah.
the knowledge is yours. You have been grinding and experimenting on stuff and asking this knowledge for yourself. So when you are in the guild, it's like you are cooperating with that guild to improve the overall guild knowledge, right? As it happens in the companies overall the world, but the knowledge is yours and your crew's. So I guess I think this is the better approach as well.
I think it would be interesting to, with regards to your idea, to not have so much like somebody's trying to go from level 9 to level 10 and it's gated, and they need other people to also reach that same level. And then if you have 10 of these people, then perhaps with a quest or some other objective, they can push through. and get to level 10. You could also do it in a way that some of the materials required with that component that might also be required for other components are what locks that progression. So you don't have to have 9 people at the exact same level, but you need nine. Or I just saying 9 people, but but you need 9 people who are dealing with that input material to be at a certain level. Because I can imagine there will be so many different things you can build at some point, so many different components for so many different chips that it might take a long while to have either the right number of people. And also it will be interesting perhaps if you've also, I don't know, if there's a level 19 for some different component that has the same material, that they can somehow collaborate in a way, because it's just about handling that material in a good way, perhaps something like that. It's more
Yeah,
complex, but perhaps it opens stuff up a little bit.
I'm sort of against this idea of penalizing people for wanting to play the game. Gating people from progression is just, in my mind, a bad idea. Because if you want people to play the game and tell them that they can't go further because they need to wait for someone else, I just don't see that being great. However, I see the idea of potentially needing multiple people to build high-end items being a thing. So you not only can progress however fast you want, however, certain items you want to create would require other people at a similar level, etc.
like for example, when we are thinking about Titan ships, right? Maybe the
Yeah,
system could be used for the high-end content,
yeah,
maybe,
exactly.
right?
Like a capital or higher, maybe even a large. You need 2 people, or for certain parts you need multiple people. Who knows? But I don't think gating people's experience is a good idea.
Yeah, that's why. That's exactly. So yeah, and I kind of agree. I mean, especially since we are a shipbuilding guild, right? But also because I played World of Warcraft and I really liked that I could just go through it alone and not having to wait for everything. And of
Yeah,
course, then the stuff where I did have to wait for people to join was just like annoying
exactly.
sometimes. So I completely understand where you're coming from, and that's why I figure perhaps it's nice not to, because like as a shipbuilding guild, it's of course our objective to make sure that we are able to create the best ships ASAP. And if we have to wait for other people in whichever other guilds, just outside of Avia, for example, to in order for us to progress, that feels kind of limiting. That's why
Yeah,
I was
it's not
thinking
good.
if you perhaps then have like a compromise, move it to some kind of component level or like an input material that can be at various levels for various components, then we can still move on with whatever, let's say being the first to make this component
Yeah.
at level 11, while somebody else is able to make their whatever completely different component at level 20 next time, or something like that.
Yeah, what if it wasn't a hard cap that you can't overcome individually, but it would be harder to make it through individually, you know? Like, for example, just as we were saying, maybe the first gate, you need to amass a quantity of materials to start experimenting and putting on gameplay hours, you know?
I think that's just going down a bad rabbit hole personally, because then you're forcing people to essentially just be farm bots until they can actually play the game. I don't like the idea of gating anything really.
Yeah, I came with this idea, and that's why I'm doing this because on most MMOs, I feel that crafting, and this is particular to crafting, right? Not personal skills like your ability to fly or things like that. Mostly, I see that people usually go and farm like crazy, like bots, you know, like just to reach out the max level as soon as possible, and they start doing the crafting materials for this time frame where players are still catching up on them and making profits, and then crafting becomes less relevant, you
Well,
know?
I mean, they did put in the work to do that, right? I mean, bots aside, if it was just a real player who grinded that out and sat at his computer with a rune pickaxe and sat there mining mining for, you know, 7 days straight, kudos to him. But I don't think forcing people into game loops is necessarily what this is about.
Yeah, no, the idea is not to force them on gameplay loops, but to make the accomplishment of new systems of technology as something meaningful uh, in terms of faction development, you know, like this is this is mainly a question of what should be the focus of Star Atlas, right? In terms of should it be focused on individual or focused on collective endeavors, and maybe was a way of thinking how we could make the collective effort of guilds and factions more meaningful in some manner. But maybe if we restrict this to some kind of guild accomplishments and variations of what could be built or crafted, maybe it would be a good way to
I think you
balance.
could do that. I understand what you're saying, but I think the beauty, at least from what I've understood of Star Atlas, is that you can do whatever you want, and whether or not you work as a collective is up to you. Now, there are benefits to doing so, as we've all seen, right? If an
Yeah.
entire faction doesn't work together, they will end up not, accruing as much wealth, or maybe even not enjoying the game as much. So they will, in turn, have to do so, right? But that's not necessarily forcing them into that gameplay. It's just the negative effect of them not working together, and vice versa,
Yeah,
right? We can say that instead of penalizing people for this, you can say maybe there's a slight bonus or a special craft that these people could do if they did work together and they were all at X level, right? Higher tier items or a different colored
I,
ship or something like that.
I like that idea. I just came, yeah, I actually see Signal also typing something to that extent. But what if you could indeed have like you reach a certain level and then you could get to the next level, which is like a more exalted kind of thing, through a lot of sheer time, effort, whatever. But if you can collaborate with somebody else, then you gain some additional speed with accomplishing that. And if you perhaps join forces with several people, then that limit really goes down fast because from that point on, you really work together on something. It's perhaps yeah, I mean, it's just of course reframing it a little bit to something positive. If you work together, and also will take you longer, but at least you can accomplish it by yourself. And the reason why I mentioned the exalted thing is because it's not there from the get go. It's really once you reach super high tiers of certain skills or certain procedures where that comes into play. I think Signal is more or less saying the same, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's also about what Bomber is saying. I think it's also more about kind of like enhancing the experience than limiting. Like
Exactly.
and it's
Yeah.
a you have like a short line between both of those because yeah, you don't want to change like the gameplay style of people or make them play a certain like in a certain way just to achieve stuff. But you also want to enhance the experience if they play that way, which is like collectively. And I don't know.
In most
It's a
games,
fine
right,
line.
that
It's
we've
a fine
played,
line.
right? In any MMORPG we've played, right? It would really suck if you logged on and you had to wait for other people every single time. That would certainly
Yeah.
ruin your vibe. But on
Yeah.
the other hand, there is content, right, that is only accessed via group play. And the rewards that are received from those activities are normally better or whatnot, right? And every MMORPG has those things. So I think we can find a good in between the idea
Yeah.
and also basically benefiting the people who do work together collectively and succeed at it very well.
Yeah, exactly. Because, I think that all MMOs in the history of MMOs and pretty much everyone that I played with, they are very, the skill craft, especially the crafting system, they are kind of broken and become useless and meaningless in the long run, And I felt that that's mostly because everything is super easy. If you are, if you are able to do things mechanic and you have the time to invest on being clicking and creating things or doing the same gameplay loops over and over, you eventually get there. So I felt that if we made the crafting system a whole battlefront in terms of scientific development for the faction, I think it would be more meaningful. Like the players that would dedicate themselves for the crafting or for the research and scientific development of their faction, they know that they are playing for their faction benefit and their faction power in a very specific battlefront that will help the whole faction by unlocking new technologies, new products to be sold and created in the marketplace.
You
So
can maybe give a buff to just speed, overall development speed, right? In some games, engineering of
Yes.
as a whole of the economy is how fast things are developed. If the overall engineering strength of one faction has X rate, right? Maybe you get a speed to at which items are crafted or ships are made, etc. So you're not necessarily penalizing anyone, but you're giving them a slight advantage economically if they do
yeah,
participate together.
thinking about that now, maybe if your faction reach certain thresholds, it will unlock quests for the players to create new recipes or test new
Yeah,
materials or things like that, right?
or make something
That's an
faster,
awesome
right?
idea.
That I can imagine that at some point, when enough people within a faction have reached a certain level in something, that indeed you unlock some kind of bonus, so that the rest can catch up more easily.
I like the idea of actually having it be a quest, like where you just don't instant get it. I think that's an interesting take on it.
Yeah, also fair.
Yeah, I feel this is like what happens in reality, right? It's not like you amass a certain number of a certain amount of knowledge and then boom, you get the breakthrough. No, you need to do, like you need to experiment, you need to come up with other sciences and start theory crafting and trying and failing and experimenting and things like that. And the gameplay loops that I was thinking about to do that are in this line, like maybe you need to amass a high number of minerals and get together into a forge and start making things together, experimenting and failing until one of you guys succeed. And every time you try, you get 1% more chance of getting the recipe correct. Or in other game, you guys will need to find a certain blueprint that can only be found in a certain planet in a certain star system. Or later, you need to gather exotic materials and doing alchemy with them until you create a new material that will then allow you to manipulate this new power source or things like that. And this would be like faction wild quests. This would be something that players need to cooperate to unlock or to enable this bonus.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Just a master quest for each faction, right? Where they have a certain amount of prerequisites for each one, and before it would unlock, they would need to be reached, and then group play enabled.
And how do you guys feel about those quests being faction specific in terms of, I don't know, maybe the Ustur will have certain quests on the X area that other factions wouldn't be able to do. Only the Usturs, when they reach the certain threshold, would be able to do them. Only the Muds, when they reach the certain threshold, would be open to do another's. Or should everything be open for everyone?
Depends how much you want to make the game designers work.
True.
Yeah, just theory crafting for with you guys here, like.
Oh,
The faction specific stuff sounds good.
yeah,
Yeah.
unique as much as possible. No one likes going on a quest that's a copy pasta of another quest.
Well,
Yeah,
it lends to a reason you may pick one faction over another. Like it would drive people to choose a faction based on the types of quests, right?
awesome.
Exactly.
This is a great conversation. One of the things I was wondering about, you were talking about potentially increasing the crafting speed. Once like a corporation gets to a certain level, or there's some reason that not a faction, a corporation or a guild would do better. I feel like that gives an unfair advantage. But what if a certain like corporation or guild was able to like add a special slot to their ship? One of you was talking about you have to craft a special material. Well, what if that was corporate specific, like it's corporate IP? So if your corporation spends the time and does the research, now all of your ships will be branded with your corporation name, and you can tell because they have, I don't know, an extra weapon slot, or they're slightly faster than the others. So that also gives corporations a way to compete with each other. So not everyone is making, a rainbow arm. No, these guys are making a rainbow arm that has an extra armor slot, and they're the only ones that can do that. Versus someone else whose theirs is just slightly faster.
Yeah, I really like this concept.
That's
Maybe not an Esther slot, but something like one of their components is lighter than the other, so the ship is faster or something like
It
that.
exactly just a
You know?
differentiating feature. I mean, it could just be a skin, but I
Yeah,
feel like that would be less interesting. But yeah, an actual functional difference, And that way, every guild will have a reason to pull together to spend extra resources so they can make, a market competitive product versus everyone else's.
Yeah, I think this system works really well with guilds and the crafting, right? And I think this could create entire gameplay loops for the guilds, right? That want to dwell with this battlefront of scientific development and crafting, right? Maybe this could become a whole game for them and opens up the path for further players' specializations.
But yeah, I think it would motivate people to do that grind, or well, whatever that game loop is. I don't want to call it a grind, but whatever that game loop is, they'll have a reason so that their corporation, their guild, will have that cool, unique product. And for what it's worth, I think that fits in with the style of the game too, right? Like this free economy, there's this market economy. Well, now people can have products that are unique within this market economy.
Yeah, man, I like this. Like when the guild reaches a certain threshold, like in engine building, this will allow them to start experimenting with engines of that size, let's say extra small engines. And their engines, well, there could be engines that are more potent, engines that are lighter, with different materials, with different logics. Yeah, man, I
Yeah.
think this would
And
work
I
really
think
well.
there's lots of attributes to tweak. And I don't think this closes out solo players too. Like if you have like a solo player who's super dedicated, they just form their one player corporation or guild, and they just work on it and level up their corporation themselves. Right? Because I heard some of you kind of capturing this, you don't want to lock people out from progress rating for someone else. Well, if you have someone who was willing to put in the time, then let them do that too. But still within the constructs of the game.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I think you guys are totally right. Like I was thinking about how real life works, right? No one's makes a scientific breakthrough entirely alone. And but if we translate this to the game, it's somewhat too restrictive to our players, right? Maybe the players wouldn't want to wait for other people in order to get to the max level. Yeah, I'm also concerned here with the speed of progression of knowledge in Star Atlas. Like, for example, if we have people being able to craft capital ships, like, I don't know, 1 month into Star Atlas gameplay, I think this is, I don't know, too much, too fast. And maybe this system would help prevent the economy of Star Atlas to going very fast, or maybe it would add another lever that the economy team could pull and try to make the game follow a pace that's more, organic with real life.
That's the one thing I was thinking as well for ships of that size. You wouldn't be building that ship by yourself, right? If we were talking in reality, you'd have a whole team of people working it. So maybe that could be something to think about. A certain amount of people to build X ship of that size.
Yeah, maybe on the large fleet levels we start introducing this, and as it progresses, it gets more harder and harder and harder, right? And man, I feel that this could create an entire, economy around the players that actually have the skill to be the project manager of Titan building. I feel this would be super, super cool. Like you have mastered so many different crafts and so many parts of the shipbuilding process that you are like one of the five guys that can pull up a team and create a Titan ship that would require hundreds, if not thousands, of players to build. But you are the guy that has the knowledge that allows you to coordinate this task. I feel this would be super cool.
And I think this would, if it's structured correctly, it would happen infrequently enough, that there could be opportunities to do custom skins, as in like the leader of that guild works with the dev team of the product and they actually deploy a unique thing. Like this is going, I mean, this is probably going to happen, what, once a month at its peak. So there could be ways to make it pretty unique. Again, to differentiate the corporations.
Yeah.
Real quick, one thing I've seen this happen in other games, and they struggle with it. Is if when they make something like this, you have this issue where if someone new comes into the game, they're several years behind anyone else, and it will take several years to catch up, which really scares people away. I have no idea how. I don't have a solution, but I think it should be designed in a manner that even someone coming in new, will have that opportunity to innovate and compete. Without having to spend years and years and years.
Yeah, exactly. Like it's yeah, I don't have a solution for that as well, but yeah, you know, it's like I really like to look at how real life works, and just as the guys are saying on the chat right now, like for you to max out a skill tree in real life, for you to be like the guy who knows the most about engines in the world, to get the maximum level, the state of art knowledge about something, it requires entire life, like 50 more years of research for you to be considered the most relevant and the guy that knows everything on your field of expertise, right? And I think that in some manner, Star Atlas needs to reflect this. And even that guy who is the reference of the knowledge in a certain area, he wouldn't know everything about his area. He would still need other people to keep doing the stuff in his area, like to do articles, do collaborations, or do experimentations and tests. And I think that maybe not that we hard gate everything, but in some manner we require players to talk together or work together at some point to progress. I think this would add lots of value on pacing and everything, on making the skill crafting and skill level up system more real and more, and the things that you unlock with this system that's hard for you to reach the thresholds that it implies, it would make everything more meaningful, because not everyone's going to be able to get to that level. This would require consistent and hard work for people, and this brings value with it. you know I think there is something here that we could use and could experiment on in terms of game design.
Awesome. I'm loving this theory crafting, guys. This is some deep Star Atlas theory crafting in future. I love it. We have 20 minutes left. I know that we had some people who wanted to share some things they are working on. So maybe it's a good time. It's a good time. So because we have a lot of time, so it's cool. I know Lordo had something Funcracker and also I think White Mane as well. So maybe Lordo, if you want to start.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, definitely. So, guys, you'll want extra utility for Atlas, right? So we are from Skull and Bones are opening up our casino, and we're opening up a poker event each day. And during the weekends, we go for a couple of events, and we are playing directly on blockchain with Atlas.
Mm.
Cool.
So yeah, we hosted a couple events. The first rankings are getting also NFTs like an airbike or a Unibomber. So yeah, might be worth contributing or playing with the poker.
Cool. Bomber, I know you also said, is it the same thing you wanted to mention as well, or do you have something else?
No, I was just previewing that.
Cool.
Just as a
So
recap, right? It's third party. It's not endorsed by Star Atlas team. It is using Atlas tokens, and it is all viewable on the blockchain. In case anyone was wondering, so transparent and trustworthy.
very cool. Anyone has any questions for Bomber and Lordo? Feel free to unmute or shoot them in the chat before we move to the next person who wanted to share something? I like how you guys went straight to business.
Is there
You know us.
the casino is in the high risk zone or it's a safe place?
That's a good
Currently,
question.
it's safe.
So we don't get ganked when we win the prize, right?
No, not currently. And just by the way, this we're using a separate server for this, just in case anything happens with Discord's terms of service, so our main server does not get shut down. So just DM one of Lordo or I for that server, and we'll shoot it to you since it is not whitelisted here.
You should be able to post in content creators probably. Try to post in there. If you get banned, we'll get
If
you.
you get banned, then sorry, then it didn't work.
You should be able to post in content creators.
That is sketchy as hell.
Rest in peace.
No,
Oh my god,
don't-
okay, don't post it again. Don't do it.
Oh, I'm dead. I'm gonna die.
No, Bomber.
Well, Tigo has some weird rules.
Tigo has a mind of his own.
All right, well, it won't let me post, but like I said, just DM me and I'll shoot you over Discord.
Yeah, cool. It depends on the day. How's
Yeah.
Tigo's mood. If
Here, I'm gonna
let me
DM
post
you,
it.
Bomber, and it just messages me.
Cool. So if you're interested in what Bomber and Lordo choose share, just feel free to DM them and have fun. White Man, you had some cool stuff that you were planning.
I do. So I'm actually going to pull up a stream so I can go through a PDF with you guys. I'll try to make it as quick as possible here. So let me get everything up and then I'll pull that up. Just give me 1 minute.
Cool. This is the moment when you have to sing, Jose.
Oh my god.
It doesn't look like I'm allowed to stream in... Oh, here we are.
You should be.
I am.
Cool. So we get the presentation and everything. Right?
Yep. You guys can all join here and I'll go through this as quick as possible. So, The Unseen has created a tournament. Well, it's more of a championship series for dogfighting, dueling championship. So, obviously, Star Atlas right now doesn't have any type of platform to do any type of space dogfighting. So currently it's going to be played in Star Citizen, which I've shown here, but we will eventually move that over to Star Atlas once we have a platform to actually fly our ships and fight each other in. So yeah, it's the Unseen's Dogfighting Championship. It's a series, and I'll just kind of scroll through here. But what it is, it's a tournament that will be hosted by us, and it will be a quarterly season event. So each season will be a 3-month period with matches played every 2 weeks. So all this information can be found on our website too, which I'll link when I'm done here. And then, yeah, basically we encourage everybody that wants to come out and get better at dogfighting in space to play Star Citizen with us to improve your dogfighting skills for Star Atlas. That's kind of the whole idea behind this. And then also earn some prizes. So these are the rules right now. Obviously, it's all just structure and it's all subject to change. But basically, we'll fight in a stock Avenger Titan, which is one of the starter ships. So if you don't currently have Star Citizen, you can get in at starter level and get a ship that you could play in. Or if you do already have the game but you have a different ship, our host will all have Avenger Titans, so you'll be able to borrow somebody's Titan to duel. So you don't need to go buy another ship to be able to play with us.
Hey, wife, mate, are you now going through slides? Because I'm still looking at the title slide.
Yeah, why is it stuck on the title slide? Hold on.
Ah, now I see, yes. Rules and guidelines. Oh, back at title.
Okay. Are now you seeing it?
Yep.
Okay.
Awesome.
So our duel sessions will be every 2 weeks on Saturday and Sunday for 4-hour periods. So that doesn't mean our host will be sitting there waiting for everybody for 4 hours, but we will be available for our period of time. And you guys can contact us, and once we have a duel, we'll get in and we'll run the duel. So you can only compete 5 over a given weekend, so you also don't have to be there all 8 hours to be able to get your duels in, and it minimizes your maximum points for a season. So it just brings more competition when you have a limited amount, I think. So we'll track everything. Each win's worth a point. You can't duel the same player in a single session to basically keep people from farming each other and running up score. This is really interesting to me, but if there's a tie for the top 3 spots at the end of the season, we'll have those players engage in a hand-to-hand combat duel with either a knife or a weapon provided by our host, and the winner of that will actually win the season. So our reward system will be all donations. So from the community, from our guild, whatever it may be, all the donations from the previous season will be the rewards for the following season. So that's kind of the idea there.
So this tiebreaker thing, is that in real life?
No, in Star Atlas
Okay.
or in Star
Okay,
Citizen.
okay.
That would be
Just
insane.
checking, just checking.
Real life,
Real-
Funcracker, what
I
a...
thought you were excited about it. That
What?
sounded interesting.
Just
Oh
checking
my-
here, just checking, folks.
yeah, tiebreaker, real life, knife fight.
That would be insane. Or a weapon provided by the host, right? Oh my god.
You're banned.
Oh wow.
Jail too.
Okay, so obviously Star Citizen, and I'm sure Star Atlas, when we get a version 0, there's going to be bugs, and we understand that, and we just have to deal with that. And we don't want people to win or lose based on a bug. So our host will be very receptive to watching the matches for one, and then making sure that if something funny happened, that we throw that out, so to speak. It'll be best 2 of 3, and then hand-to-hand combat will be best 3 of 5. So, and then, like I said, you can read all this stuff. I'm not going to go through everything in the essence of time here, but this will all be on our website for everybody to read. It actually already is. It's unseenguild.com/DFC. And like I said earlier, subject to change. So just any of this can change to either improve the championship or to make a change that's something that's getting exploited. So, all right, so here's kind of how the seasons break down. So season 1, we plan to start January 1 of next year, and that will run through the end of March, and then we'll just continue to go like that for however long people want to play it, or it's popular, or we have rewards to give away. We'll continue to run this thing over and over and over again. And then sessions, I separated them a little bit because we have players from all over the world, right? So Saturday 1 p.m. to 5 p.m. Central Time is 6 o'clock UTC to 10 o'clock. And then Sunday would be 9 o'clock UTC to 1, would it just be 100? 1 UTC. 1 a.m. basically. And then how the rewards work. So, like, I'm going to go through this really fast, but again, you guys can read this all on the website. So donations is how our whole reward pool will work. And right now, the wallet is a phantom wallet. I actually plan to change that to a ledger just because I don't want people donating to something that's going to be sitting in a hot wallet. But this will sign no contracts. It will not do any staking. It won't do anything except hold rewards and then send those out once the season is finished. So that's kind of where that stands. But it'll all be donated to one single wallet. Everything will be visible on the blockchain. You guys will be able to see everything that's happening with it. And
I might suggest that you use perhaps something like squads to actually have a multi-sig solution for that.
yeah, I have used squads a little bit, but I haven't looked into this aspect of it, but that's a good suggestion. Like I said, this is all subject to change. I put this together. I've had this idea for a while, and I've been putting it together, trying to come up with stuff that works for everyone. So, but yes, that's a good idea, squads. I'll look into that.
Yeah, if you need help, let me know.
Yeah, for sure. I appreciate that, man. And then on our website, we'll run a leaderboard through each season. So you can go to the leaderboard at any time and kind of see where you are. In retrospect to the person actually updating the leaderboard, we're only going to run the top 10. So if you're below that, you'll still be tracked, but you just won't be on the board. So it's kind of incentive for you to get on the board, right? And then we will have a wall of fame where you will live for eternity if you win a season. So we'll go season by season with like a little blurb about you as a player or something like that, and then either a picture of your ship or yourself or whatever you want to put up there. We'll have it posted on our website for all of eternity. And then seasonal rewards will be posted there too. So each season the rewards page will change based on what we have to give away at the end of the season. And yeah, really the objective is dogfighting. I mean, we're trying to bring this community together with a skill that's going to be useful in Star Atlas for all players. I mean, no matter what your role or your skill is in Star Atlas, you're going to need to know how to fight in space. So dogfighting is a huge part of that, and will really help people enhance that ability to be able, maybe not even get good at it, but not panic so much when they get in that situation, right? So that's kind of the idea behind it. We just want to help people get better at fighting in space. I mean, it's really what it comes down to. And then get the community together to do something that's fun.
That's super cool, man. I love it.
And I'll end it there.
That's awesome, man. Seriously.
Yep. So if someone wants to participate, how does that work? How do you make it work? Do they have to
So
DM you?
right now you can DM me, but I'm actually going to build like a sign up sheet for the webpage under the DFC area. So you'll just be able to go to the page and sign yourself up.
Okay, cool. So, but now everybody just DM Whitemane.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good luck.
If you want to participate, everybody DM.
Yeah, for now that'll actually work. I will just I'll keep track of everybody that wants to get in on it. Oh, one thing I didn't mention in there too is if you already have Star Citizen and you have an Avenger Titan, I am looking for a few more people that could do the host role, which would just be able to be available on Discord during those hours on one weekend out of a season. I'm trying to do it to where we have enough hosts that we only have to cover one weekend in a whole 3-month season. So if you're interested in being part of that and hosting, that would be cool. And hosts will be able to play, they just won't be able to play on the weekend that they're hosting. I think that's all I got for now. But if you guys have more questions, yeah, definitely shoot me a DM and we can chat for sure.
Yeah, man. Thank you for putting this together for the community. It's awesome. Super cool.
Yeah, absolutely. Sorry I took up so much time there.
Nah, man. No. It's all good. It's all good.
I can't get over that fight, that hand-to-hand combat in real life comment though.
Yeah, yeah.
Bro.
That's Funcracker's fine, you know?
No, just checking. I mean, so funny because you have dogfighting in space, and then in case of Thai, then use knives to do hand-to-hand combat. And I realize now actually that it's of course also in Star Citizen that it's possible, but I was for a sec not remembering that aspect. So I was like, huh? How does that fit in with the dogfighting? But yeah, I get it now. Not real life today.
Dude, that's gonna forever be my favorite moment of the Atlas Brew. Real life knife fight to settle a tiebreaker. All right.
Well, I figured probably not, but I was wondering what game then. I can make Counter Strike or something, but that was the first thing. Knife fight, Counter Strike, but yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So, Funcracker, do you want to comment a little bit on the Lisbon?
Yes. I mean, last time, of course, you also mentioned it, but I would very much like to reach out once more since there will be a bunch of people in Lisbon early November for the Breakpoint conference, the Zana conference. And since that is the case, we figured let's then try to have a nice meetup, a hangout with some Star Atlas enthusiasts. And we plan to do that on the November 6th on Sunday, probably late afternoon, late evening, depending how things will go. But if you are in the neighborhood, it's of course completely free since it is just a simple event where we have some drinks, some food, and just hang out and nerd about Star Atlas. So it won't be like a venue that we rent and there's no free swag or any of that kind. I mean, not at the moment that we know of. So it's really just a get-together for people who are there, just to grab a beer and discuss Star Atlas. So if you are there on the 6th, then please, there's a channel on this nice Star Atlas server that is called, where is it actually? Meeting Lisbon. It's in the event section. Thank you, Santi, for linking that. If you cannot attend, then please, there's also a link in that channel to a thread that's still in general, because that thread contains a few polls. Please use those polls to let us know when you are around and what time would be the best to you. And then we're going to just somehow figure out a venue in the next upcoming days that will be able to facilitate all of us, and we're going to have an awesome, jolly good time. So, final thing I would like to point out. I mean, I know. So, just to correct, Santi mentioned last time is by Avia. It's really not so much by Avia. It's more a community initiative. So, it just somebody had to just kick things off and make sure there is a time where we actually are all able to meet. And I just happen to be that guy. So, it's really if anybody wants to, in whatever capacity, help out or has ideas to make an even bigger and better and more awesomer event, then please chime in. Let me know. DM me, hook me up. But primarily, the goal is just to have a good time. And of course, the reason why you should definitely consider this, Santi will be there. And that
Oh
also
yeah.
means that at the very
Santi!
least, there'll be a face reveal for all of us present in Lisbon, if not at some other point. So, and he also mentioned he was going to rap a little bit when we would meet.
Oh no,
So,
that's a lie.
right?
Ah,
He's
yeah,
I
yeah, yeah.
mean,
100%
That's
wearing
a
his
lie.
helmet.
I'm pretty sure you said something like that, Santi. You did
I'll
not
go.
say?
I'll go
Oh,
drink the beers with the helmet, bro. No.
oh, you will join with the helmet. That's awesome. Yeah.
Just he's like a Mandalorian, basically.
That is
Yeah.
funny. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Cool. So anyway, be there, be square, whatever. If you can join, would be super awesome, and let us know.
Yep. It will be nice to meet everybody here, everybody there. So it's going to be fun. It's going to be fun. So if you want to meet, go to Lisbon. Go to Lisbon if you're close, and if you can afford it and everything. I think it's going to be fun. And also,
Hold on, baby.
it's important to note that you don't need a ticket for Solana Breakpoint. Like we're
Yeah.
doing this.
Good point.
Yeah, this has nothing to do with Breakpoint. Just the same date because people are there. But it's free. It's free. You only need to pay for the drinks.
Indeed. So yeah,
The
I would
drinks
not
on
recommend
Santi.
to book a plane from the US or something because again, it will be a meetup, very much like I mean, for those since we mentioned Star Citizen already, right? They have
What, babe?
bar citizens as they call it, which is
Little stuff
nothing
related to
else
it.
than just something some community members coming together, drinking beer and nerding out. So this will be I don't know, perhaps the first of that kind that I know of at least,
Yeah, it's the
and it
first.
will be in Lisbon, Portugal.
Awesome. Awesome. So yeah, guys, if you want to meet, we'll see you in Lisbon on the 6th, November 6th. So we'll get some beers. We'll get
But
some beers.
Chris, you tell us it's not worth to fly over half the world, but now you want us to come.
Yeah, of course. If you're around, man, if you're around, chill, chill. I mean, you know your budget. You know your budget, probably. So if you're around, just go to go there and we'll meet. That's it.
Well, I mean, if you have the money, feel free to join us from the US. I just want to make sure that everybody understands this is not like some big crazy event. There's no a stack of Stylus t-shirts, at least that I know of, present. So I just want to manage expectations because some people are like, oh, I might book a flight. That's like, yeah,
Yeah,
I mean, just for
exactly.
this might be a bit too much. But again, of course, it depends on your financial situation and how much you love to see us and Santi. So, I mean, everybody's more than welcome for sure. The more the
Yeah,
better.
we have a few community people also like confirmed, right?
Yeah, yeah, that's a good point actually. I
We
mean,
have some
besides Santi,
legends.
we have Atlas Theory will be there, and Shadex will be there as well, and potentially more, but at least these two people that I know of readily from the top of my mind. So yeah, will
Shaddix,
be
I see you
awesome.
in here. Say hi. I'm calling you out, bro.
Where is Shadex? In the chat.
No, you gotta say hi in voice chat. I'm kidding, I'm kidding.
Awesome, Doofin. That's cool.
Okay, awesome. That's awesome. Really cool. Really cool. So yeah, guys, see you there. If there is nothing else, we can close. We're already over the hour, so
Yeah, man.
I'll count down till 5.